Okay, so buckle up because this story is a mess. It's got everything. Diddy, Ellen DeGeneres, a tragic death, and enough alleged cover-ups to fill a Hollywood studio. I'm talking about the death of Stephen Twitch Boss, and the seriously shady questions that are still swirling around it, especially involving Ellen and some alleged Diddy.
I just wanted to say the past 11 days have been really tough for everyone. But to honor Twitch, I think the best thing that we can do is to laugh and hug each other.
Now, most of us remember Twitch as Ellen's right-hand man, the super talented dancer who brought so much joy to her show, which is why it was absolutely gut-wrenching when news broke that he had died by suicide back in December 2022. It just didn't seem to add up. He was a family man, he seemed happy, and he was at the peak of his career. And that's where the conspiracy theories started. Because in Hollywood, honey, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. The main theory floating around is that Twitch knew too much about something, and that something involves Ellen and Diddy. Remember how tight Ellen and Diddy used to be? Like bestie level tight? Diddy was on her show like 17 times, which is insane. That's more than some of her own family members, probably. And now, with all the allegations coming out against Diddy, people are starting to look back at that relationship with a whole new level of side-eye.
How much money do you have on you right now?
I don't have any money on me.
You don't carry money on you?
No.
No.
I don't carry money. I mean, it's just a little bit of money on me.
Oh, you do have money on you. Lord have mercy. It's all 20s. Where are you going after this?
You know we doing what we plan to do, girl.
The theory goes that Ellen was involved in Diddy's alleged activities, and I'm putting alleged in air quotes here because, you know, gotta cover my butt. But the rumors are that she was not just attending his infamous parties, but also recruiting people for them. And allegedly, one of those people she tried to recruit was Twitch. Now, whether Twitch refused or whether he saw something he wasn't supposed to see, the story is that he became a liability. And we all know how Hollywood deals with liabilities, right? It sounds like a movie plot, I know, but there are some weird things that make you go, For example, there's an old clip of Diddy on Ellen's show where he's basically talking about his parties in code.
Are you going to be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right. Not too late, though.
Not too late?
Please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not
okay.
too late. Because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He mentions the parties being on the second and third floors of hotels, and Ellen responds like she knows exactly what he's talking about. She tries to play it off like she's just heard him rap about it, but come on, people weren't buying it. Then, after the allegations against Diddy started surfacing, someone asked Ellen about it, and her reaction was awkward, to say the least. She looked genuinely uncomfortable and dodged the question. If you're innocent, why the weird reaction, right? But here's where it gets even darker. Remember Anne Heche, Ellen's ex-girlfriend? She died in a really tragic car accident, also under suspicious circumstances, just a few months before Twitch. And before she died, she was claiming that Ellen was a fraud, and that she had left Ellen because Ellen was doing shady things to get ahead in her career. Anne even said Ellen tried to get her blacklisted and put in a mental institution. Then, boom, Anne's dead. Car accident, severe burns, the whole thing is just messed up. And then a few months later, tWitch dies. It's a lot of coincidences piling up, wouldn't you say? So, after Twitch died, the initial report said he didn't leave a note, but then TMZ reported that he actually did leave a note. So, who was lying and why? And that's when Twitch's friend Todrick Hall came out and said that Twitch had been stressed out by some behind-the-scenes issues with Ellen. That just added fuel to the fire. Okay, so then you've got Twitch's wife, Allison Holker. Now, people are even side-eyeing her. Some folks think she knew way more than she let on at the time, but she kept quiet to protect her kids. I mean, can you even imagine being in that situation? Talk about a rock and a hard place. Right after Twitch passed, she sold their house super quick and moved. Then she filed a spousal property petition, basically asking the court for half of everything he owned, which on the one hand makes total sense. She's a widow with kids, she needs to secure their future. But on the other hand, it just looks a little sus, right? Like she was trying to get as much as possible as fast as possible. I mean, she even went back to court later asking for half of his future royalties from stuff like Step Up and So You Think You Can Dance. And then she sold sold the house they lived in for almost $4 million and bought a new one for $5 million. So she's definitely not hurting financially, which again, good for her, but it also makes you wonder if she was trying to get out of Dodge as soon as possible and set herself up for whatever might come next. Look, I'm not saying Allison is involved or anything, but people are just piecing things together, you know? It's like everyone's playing detective right now, trying to figure out what really happened. And honestly, the biggest thing that keeps coming up is just how weird the whole thing is. I mean, Twitch checked into a motel that was like 15 minutes from his house. Why would you do that if you were just planning on, you know? And the fact that he didn't initially leave a note, then suddenly he did dot it just doesn't sit right. Someone online said it best. They think Twitch found out something and he or his family was being threatened, and he figured they'd be safer if he wasn't around anymore. Which is a super dark thought, but in Hollywood, you honestly never know. Another person pointed out that Twitch and Allison were celebrating their anniversary like a week before he died, and just 2 days before, he posted a video of them dancing. Like everything seemed totally normal. And then suddenly he checks into a random hotel and it just doesn't add up.
Twitch loved to be the light in everyone's lives, and then Steven liked to hide away. Those are very two different personalities that were battling each other any given day. And we would talk about that in interviews, that he very much admitted that that was going on. And I think as I was with him for so long, and that's how he's been the entire relationship, I was like, it's a beautiful thing that he can be both. But then when you start stepping away from the new fact of what's happened, I look at that, I was like, wait, what if I would have made him feel safe, or with therapy, he could have felt safe to be him all the time? And what if he felt safe being this one individual that has different kind of energies? But you don't have to be a completely different person and put them aside from each other.
So yeah, people are convinced that Twitch's death was made to look like a suicide, but it was really something else entirely. And a lot of fingers are pointing at Ellen. I know it sounds crazy, but when you look at all the pieces, it's hard to ignore. And who knows what else is going to come out in the next few days. This story is still unfolding, and I have a feeling there's a lot more to it than we even know right now. Okay, so let's talk about Ellen's history a little bit, because it's actually pretty relevant. I mean, everyone remembers the whole be kind era, right? She built her entire brand on being nice. But then all these stories started coming out about the toxic work environment on her show, and it just completely shattered that. People were talking about racism, intimidation, just a generally awful atmosphere. And Twitch was right in the middle of all of that. He was basically her second in command. So either he was oblivious to what was going on, which seems unlikely, or he was complicit. And that's what Todrick Hall was talking about when he said Twitch was getting backlash for supporting Ellen. People were side-eyeing him like, how can you still stand by this woman after everything that's come out? And honestly, that kind of pressure can really mess with, especially if you're a genuinely good person who's maybe made some questionable choices. But here's the thing, even if Twitch was struggling with the Ellen stuff, does that really explain what happened? I mean, suicide is never simple, and there are usually multiple factors involved. But the fact that all these other weird things are happening at the same time just makes it seem like there's something bigger going on. And let's not forget about Diddy, because all of this is happening in the context of these huge allegations against him. I'm talking about sex trafficking, abuse, the whole 9 yards. And if Ellen was really as close to him as everyone says, then it's not a stretch to think that she might have known about some of this stuff. I mean, think about it. If you're hanging out with someone who's allegedly involved in all kinds of illegal activities, you're bound to see or hear something eventually. And if you're trying to protect yourself, you might be willing to do whatever it takes to keep your mouth shut. So where does that leave us with Twitch? Well, if he did see something or know something and he was starting to crack under the pressure, then he could have become a problem for Ellen. And we all know how ruthless Hollywood can be. I'm not saying Ellen definitely had something to do with it, but the timing of everything is just too suspicious to ignore. You've got Anne Heche dying right after she tries to expose Ellen. Then you've got Twitch dying a few months later, right when the Diddy allegations are starting to heat up. It's a lot of smoke, and where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And the fact that Allison is now seemingly starting to distance herself from Ellen, that's definitely interesting. I mean, maybe she's just finally ready to tell the truth, or maybe she's just trying to protect herself and her kids. Either way, it's clear that something is not right here. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the coming weeks and months. This story is far from over, and I have a feeling the truth is going to be even crazier than we can imagine.